Okay, hello. Right, you will have to excuse this. I know that this looks like I've got some kind of 1980s, 1990s filter on here, but I'm using my old phone because I'm waiting for a call back as to whether I've got this flipping job. So I am on tenterhooks anyway today. But it does mean that I can pull my orders off. I have done my interview was on Saturday. I did a post run before my interview, so I've dropped two things off, two dresses, I believe, on Saturday. Interview went well, and I think I would have the job if it wasn't for the competition, which we could say all the time. I don't know. I wasn't initially going to put my hat in the ring, so to speak. So what's happened is obviously the shop where I work at, somebody's left. They've moved to another shop, and it's opened up their position, which is a better position than I'm doing at the moment, which is just sales assistant. But obviously it's more than I've done in my past. You see, I say that, but I have done very, very similar in my past jobs. But that's been in the construction industry, and this is the retail industry. And although I resell on eBay, I don't necessarily think that I've got a massive amount of experience. So if I hear today that I haven't got it, it's because somebody with more retail experience was in the running. But anyway, yeah, so I actually don't know what to do with myself because I'm on holiday at the end of this week. We are going away at the end of this week. I'm trying to convince my husband that he doesn't need to worry about taking a week off work because I am earning a decent amount. It's just with regards to eBay, I don't actually know what I need to do pivoting wise until I know whether I've got this job. Right, so I'm going to pull stuff out and show you what I've sold. So this is going to be annoying because this is my old phone. It goes to show, doesn't it? I mean, you don't realise just how much those three cameras actually do for a picture until I only used this I only got this phone because this one screwed me over and I got hacked on my Instagram. But there you go. Right, so I've got a book which is sold. I've got tons of coffee table books. I thought that this one was slightly bigger because I've got loads of other ones which are really big. So this, what did I have? I had that one that was I can't even remember what the guy was called. But I had a really nice coffee table book which had the architecture of what I can only describe as the house at the end of North by Northwest, which I would love to live in, but I can't remember the name of the architect. And I sort of got it for myself, and then it was like two for £1, so 50p each. So I got this one as well at the same time. So the other one sold for 30, and then this one has sold for 20. So that's good, isn't it? So although I'm not making £50 out of it, that's £50 worth of sales on books. Yeah, this is a really weird one. This is about how your eye perceives things, and I have sort of read through this and driven myself up the wall a bit with it. Yeah, I don't even want to go there. So this is my storage system here. This is men's trousers, women's trousers. I've barely got any men's bottoms. Oh, my phone's locked. I probably should have just recorded it on here, but sometimes it's sort of it shields a phone call and you can't tell whether you've got a phone call. So I have got one pair of trousers. So I've got a pair of women's trousers. Let's ditch that one back over here then. This one is a pair of Hobbs. I am feeling a bit up the wall about all of this. There's so much clothing here. I could have sold that one yesterday, but somebody sent me a £2 offer on it, and frankly it just irritated me. I wouldn't have, yeah, I'm not going to sell it for £2. I don't know what these are. It says navy. Navy? I know that they're navy. Why can't I see anything navy in here? The theory behind my storage is good. If I wasn't on camera, I would have gone straight to it. Where the hell are these? Oh, come on. Yeah, that's the age-old thing that always happens, is everything's great when you can see the top edge of them, and then they sink down. Right, these are Hobbs with a side stripe. I wasn't so sure about these. Yeah, and I've accepted an offer of £12, just because I just wasn't so sure about them. You know, yeah, if you want to go around looking like Sporty Spice, then that's fine, but it is what it is. I probably wouldn't pick them up again. Right, dresses. One dress. That's pitiful. Again, I feel like I should be able to go straight to this, but I can't. I have a bloody overflow on this. Oh, this is irritating. I've just sold that one, but they didn't pay. I want everything in one box. I don't want overflow boxes, but this is an overflow box. Oh God. Oh, I'm just not in the mood. I've only got a few dresses in here. I think I've just put the silk ones in here. Yeah, so it is in there. Oh, for God's sake. I say that I've put the silk stuff in there. There's one silk that's there, so let's put that with the other silk dresses that are going to mass up. Yeah, so this, I will actually show you this. This dress here, this rails one, when I actually looked that up, I found it. Oh, my phone's locked again. Let's put it up on here. Honestly, why is eBay sometimes just such a pig? I feel like it's becoming more and more complex by the moment. Right, so this is called the Sierra dress. This is called the Sierra dress. Why am I showing you on there when I've got the thing up here? Right, so the Sierra dress. And it retails for £228. I put that on there because it blew my bloody mind, as I paid £3 for this little thing. Because I mean, it just doesn't look like much. And I've got mine up for 60. Somebody sent me an offer of 40, and I was like, well, yeah, do you know what? Because it's I've got no fees at the moment because of this offer. I'll take that. And then they didn't pay. So honestly, it's just, at least they didn't return it. I've got a boomerang item at the moment that everybody just keeps. And at the time when I posted it, I just knew it was coming back, just because some things just feel cursed, like this dress which I can't find. This is a very skimpy little dress. It's as small as that. That's another silk one. I'm going to put all of the silk ones together. Then it'll help me later on, and I won't end up in this situation where I'm having to hunt. Oh, come on. Why is it that it knows that I'm filming? Yeah, that one's sunk right down. I promised you my system works. Oh great, now I've got a broken box. Yeah, I'd really like to scale this back. really. If I get this job, my hours go up, my pay goes up, and I can really scale this back. And obviously, I'd just really like to be able to do the Lego, you know. And then there's stuff like this. So I mean, that's very similar to that Rails dress, and I think this is very Pretty Woman when she goes to the polo match. This is made well, so it's one of those brands which sells really well in the US but not here. This was on auction, starting bid at £10. That's what it's gone for. Yeah, I would really like to sell through everything, but what I need to do going forward is hinges on what happens with my part-time job, because obviously if I do go up to 30 hours, that's kind of full-time hours. I say like full-time hours, but I mean, there's the potential for doing overtime as well. It's still only over 4 days if I was to get it. But yeah, my old job, I was contracted to 39 hours, but you did more like 50 hours, and you did about, I mean, it was 2 hours in some of the projects that I was on. It was 2 hours travel in the morning, 2 hours at night. And that's why I ended up ill, and I ended up leaving the construction industry. You know, they wonder why people leave certain industries like healthcare and teaching, but it's because of the amount of unpaid hours that you end up doing, and it just becomes, you know, you are burning the candle at both ends, and it becomes frustrating. Right, what have I got here? I have a vest, and I have a Lego set, and then I have 3 jumpers. Fascinating stuff, isn't it? It's another box of Lego that I've got there that I need to go through, but I just don't want to get into anything at the minute because we're going away. We're going away at the end of the week and just everything. Right, Jaeger. I have gone over and over this and I can't see any holes, but it's so vintage. Vintage tank, $15.99 on that. Sometimes I hear other people talking about their sales and I'm like, what a waste of time. This does feel like a lot of effort for little return. This one is Hobbs. I've got two of these which have got like a hint of cashmere. This one has a nice button detail on the side. So this is the Talia teal green. Cashmere and merino wool on that. That's gone for 28. Yeah. And then I've got a 15 quid on this one, and this is 100% cashmere, and this one is Tesco. F&F. And I know that I've had this for over a year. Oatmeal. Is it this one? Yes. Oh, this one. I thought that was, it says UK 14. No, it's not shrunk. I found some really crazy examples of shrunken cashmere this week. And though you know that they say that you can hear a crunching noise if it's shrunk. Wow, some of the crunching noise that I've heard, it's like been like static. Yeah, so anyway, F&F, 100% cashmere, and 15 quid for that. And I don't want to keep hold of stuff and then find that some moth with teeth the size of Jesus has got in here. Like a really random statement. Let's put this chunky thing in here so that it's down the side. This is what my boxes should look like. Everything on the side, and I know exactly where everything is. I don't pack things up because people do ask for extra measurements. Sometimes I do it. Sometimes I get it. I mean, I got something out the other day and I measured it. I think this woman was just lonely. And I know that that is the case because now that I work in a charity shop, I know that people are, they want no intention of buying things. They just want somebody to talk to. And you can end up in some very inane conversations. Right, so the last thing I've got to do is get out a Sweaty Betty vest, which is £12. And then I've got a Lego set, which I've randomly sold for £10.39. Because I've been sending 20% offers out. I've been sending 20% offers out across the board. Sometimes 30% offers out. Depending on how I'm feeling, because I really, really would like to clear through it. I think regardless of whether I get a promotion at work, a lot of these, well, yeah, let's say 70% of this clothing stock is a mistake and needs to go, because things have very much changed. I have been doing I've been looking at my accounts, and you see, that's another thing. A positive, I suppose. Maybe it's a positive for the new government. Let's just get these last two things out. Vest, which is vests. Not that. That's short sleeves. These are sleeveless. That should be Sweaty Betty. Fit as. I think I accepted 12 on that because, let's face it, it is a bit weird selling second-hand gym wear. It is quite close to fetish, really. And then this is why I need to get on with listing Lego. This is all of the Lego that I have listed. So, Lego is always easy. 6654 motorcycle transport. 6654. Motorcycle transport. That is it. Do remember to put the rest away, darling. There's actually some good stuff in here, which maybe is overpriced. I don't know. I did have a look at it the other day. Let's move this round because I feel like because the window is over there, it's causing funny light. Yes, so yeah, that's 8 sales. So technically, like, I mean, the other 2 were Friday, weren't they? Because I sent them off. These are my Lego spares. This is all my brick stock. You know, I am very organised and I am very much in a position to be a Lego seller, because not many people can say that they have everything that sorted out. Yeah, what was I saying? Right, my tax return. So I went through, I got a bit paranoid last week and I did file my tax return, and on there it said that they owed me it's actually £472.38. I know this because it actually says that it's being paid into my bank account tomorrow, because I went onto my app this morning to see where I am, because, you know, I was like, I know that we're going away and I really want my husband to take a week off work, because I honestly, it's like I've got annual leave and I get paid annual leave, but he doesn't because he's agency, and I just want him to take a break because he's stressed, and I just want him to take a break and I don't want him to worry about it. But it's just like, he's like talking about going back and I'm like, no, I'm off a week. Why don't you just stay off a week? And I know that I've just had to settle my service charge for this place, and that was £1,000. And I mean, the fact that I'm able to do that probably says a lot about how good I actually am doing, even though I put myself down a lot. You know, and when you see sales like that, where that's £10, but it's trickling money every day. There's trickling money that's going into my bank, and trickling money is really helpful when you also have a job. If it all went in one go, maybe you just think, maybe that's not so great, but you know, it's not so bad. Yeah, so I've had to pay service charge. I'm trying to pay down my credit cards. I have to pay the mortgage, which is the 8th. I had to shift the date because I never really planned to get into reselling full time, but you know, things happened. It was called the pandemic. So there's not much that any of us could do about that. And so, yeah, I went into reselling full time, and it was a bit of a like shock to the system, but you know, I sort of like got on with it. And because I'd had a paid job before, I had, you know, payday was always like the 25th. And then most of my bills sort of came out on the 1st of the month. So I used to find sometimes, because I used to get paid, my eBay fees used to get taken off, and that used to make a difference sometimes how much money you used to have trickling through on eBay on the 1st of the month. And then the pandemic, they sort of said that they were going to give us some benefits, and then they didn't. I was never furloughed. They just laid me off, and I only got a bit of universal credit. And I think all they did was pay my national insurance credits. I never got any money. I got free food boxes for 5 weeks, and then they stopped that. It was, everybody else seemed to have a fantastic time in lockdown, and I didn't, and neither did my husband, because he only got job seekers allowance, and then you know, that was hardly anything. So we did pause our mortgage, and then I went back in, you know, we could only pause it for 3 months, and then I started trying to pay it again, but everything coming out on the 1st of the month was ridiculous. So I sort of tiered everything. So now I have the mortgage going out on the 8th. The upshot of it is I do have to pay the mortgage 8th. So I'm trying to make sure that I've got enough money, and then obviously I've just had to pay another £1,000 for the car expenses for the repairs, and although I did interest-free payments, they took 300 quid, it was like 320 actually, on the day I picked the car up, which was the 24th, and then the next payment is the 7th. So I've got a mortgage payment and 320 quid for this. So it's going to be a good grand's worth of money, which is going out of my bank account. So I'm like, keep watching it like a hawk. And then obviously we're going away. We're going to the Fat Boy Slim Weekender, which we'll need to have money for drinking and etc. for that weekend. Yeah. So I'm like being a bit hesitant. And then I looked at my bank account. Was the first thing I did this morning. And the money from my, that they said that I was owed in taxes as a tax rebate is actually going to my account. So £472.38 is going into my bank. I think that is because, and this is probably relevant to a lot of you, if you are reselling and you intend to go back into work, I think I've been emergency taxed. So although my tax code looked reasonable, I think that if there's a bit at the end of it, I think they've emergency taxed me because obviously I was self-employed and I didn't have a P45 or a P60 to go into my new employment. So I think I've been emergency taxed all the time I've been part-time working, and that would have been, well, I know that it's 21 months that I've been there, so they weren't joking. And the thing is that when I did my tax return last year, I know that I paid taxes last year, and that was 120 that I paid last year. So it goes to show, doesn't it? I will actually. Should we pick up and go, because I can actually talk about figures. I can actually talk about figures. It's probably slightly lighter in here as well. So, obviously, like I said, I did my tax return. But I also decided that since I was going into this interview, and I've got this, what looks like a gap on my CV, but I haven't put it down as a gap on my CV. So, on my CV, I have put, so it says March 2020 to present. So I've got my 2 roles that I do on here, and I've put down that I do online platform retail sales, and I've put the name of my business on there. So I took into my interview because I'd done my tax return, because I wanted to get a bit of a handle in my head of it. I printed off my summary sheet, so that's what my summary sheet looks like for my eBay selling. And this, so what I have there, that's how I report it, and I've got sheets that feed into it, and then I've got a bit there, so this is how it appears on HMRC, and these are the categories that if you fill it in on HMRC, that's what comes in, and I've filled it in as per that. So I think this is quite telling. So this, I'm just going to talk in turnover. So this is a full tax return. This is a full year. So this is April 2020 on here to 2021, to March 2021. So this is when we were in lockdown, the first lockdown. Now my turnover before the deductions, and that includes fees from eBay, because this is the way it works on here. I've got my income from sales and my income from postage, which all pulls off spreadsheets. And then I pull it all in there. So my income is based on postage charges and sales transactions, because it's all regarded as money coming in. And then the fees and the postage I've paid and expenses and all other things, which is the bit that's in red, is what I take off, which I know that I'm allowed. And there's often quite a bit of it. It's like April 2020 here. It says that my total money coming in, and be bearing in mind, this is me starting from scratch, doing it full time, and we're in lockdown. So it says there, well, it says £899. So £900 I earn, money coming in, and then my deductions comes in at 708. So overall that month, my technically my profit was 190. I have on my other spreadsheets, it tells me exactly, what I make without because these other things, it's like you're allowed an allowance for electric, purchases, stock purchases. So even though we're in lockdown, I have got stock purchases here. So April 2020, my stock purchases were still 100 quid because I was buying stuff off the internet. I was buying Lego, and then I spent an 80 in May. And then in June, 553 and 709 in July. That must have been when we came out of lockdown. Because we did, didn't we? We were only locked down. So it looks like March, April, May. And then June, we were let out again. God, it's no wonder it went on so long. I think 2020, because everything screwed up again in November. God, I was still spending a lot. I must have been spending so much on Lego. Wow. I think the charity shops opened again in April 2021. Anyway, I am rambling here. Anyway, so the turnover for that first tax year that I was trading when we were in lockdown, April 2020 to March 21, was 20 grand turnover. Yeah, 20 grand. Okay. Then April 21 to March 22, my turnover for that year, so we were probably in lockdown a little bit longer then, because I seem to remember we came out sort of like incrementally, and it was probably like about June again when we started coming out of it properly. But I've still got a lot of stock purchases here. I think they must have opened the shops in April. Maybe they did. I don't know. But I think the thing is there was still a lot of people at home who were shopping. And what says it all is my turnover for that trading year was 30,000. So my first year I did 20, and then my second year I did 30. So, at that point I must have been thinking, this is great. Why did I ever go into work? Why did I ever get an employment job? And then, obviously, I think things started taking a tumble. When did they start taking a tumble? That doesn't count, that one. Yes, so there's definitely a tumble in January 22. My profits are so down. It was great. After December, January and February 22, I'm barely making any money. And I mean, I'm not covering. After deductions, I'm not covering what I need to do to make bills. And I think that's probably when I started worrying. And there is a trend for that all the way through April the year 2022. And I've even, no, that's not a loss because that's only, yeah, because I've just put that, I've just got a little bit at the end, but I was just, so anyway, so my earnings for 2022, so April 2022 to March 23, are still, they match my first year when we were in lockdown. And actually they improve it. My turnover was 22,000. But I started worrying then because I know that I went back to work, and I went back to work in January 2023, and that is on here. And I was still earning a decent amount. Looking at my figures here, the money that I was bringing in before deductions, 1,500 pretty much, and that's in January. 2 grand I made October, November and December 2022. So, looking at that, it makes me wonder why I decided to go back to work, because you look at the figures here, but I think I really suffered in the summer months. And I think because my bills had gone up, because utility bills had gone up, I think that's maybe why I started to worry. But yeah, it's really weird. It's so, I mean, I would implore anybody to keep detailed figures like this. I don't know, but I know that I felt it in the summer of 2022 that I needed to get back into work. But I think as well, part of it was just because I'd applied for jobs back in my industry that I was working in before, construction, and I'd gone for some admin jobs. I think I just felt in myself that I needed to get back into the real world. Otherwise, I'd never get back into the real world. And I absolutely appreciate it now more than anything. So this is the telling one. This is the last tax year that I've reported on. So this is April 23 to March 24. So my turnover for this tax year was 12,000. So I know that I've struggled some months and I've barely brought in 1,000. It looks like I have been sort of like, I know that I've been pulling myself together more at the beginning of this year, and do need to get my accounts up to date and see where I am. And this is why it's important to not necessarily be me. Yes, keep detailed records like this, but make sure that you keep them up to date, because I'm really thankful that I put this together, because this is the indicator of why. Yeah, I don't know. It's the indicator of a lot of things, but if you don't have it, how do you know where you are with anything? It just feels bad. And sometimes when you like going into your overdraft, which I was doing a lot, you know that you're struggling. I know that a lot of my bills went up, and I think that's why I went back to work. However, me going back to work really made my business suffer, because I did not put the time in, and I haven't. So my stock purchases massively go down. I barely purchase anything stock wise in the first year that I'm back at work. So where before I was going out and stomping around doing all of the charity shops, and sometimes, so the biggest spend that I have, well, I mean that's like when we came back out of lockdown. But generally, I was spending £300 to £500 in stock. Let's say the average is about 300. I don't do that now. I only spend like about 100 to 200, if that, on stock. So I'm getting less stock. So of course I'm selling less, but I also have less time, and I don't have to rely on this income as much. But I do need to get these earnings up. Having looked at that, really weird. But maybe that's another thing, you see, maybe that's why I've overpaid on my tax, because I don't know, what are they judging you? I don't trust the HMRC as far as I can throw them. You're never quite sure what they're doing behind the scenes. And they still saying that my husband owes money. Anyway, yeah. So I still haven't had a phone call. It's 12:30. I haven't had a call. Oh, geez. I hate waiting on things. So you're not going to find out in this video whether it's good news or not, because of 40 minutes I've rambled on now. So I do need to knock this on the head. I need to go to the post office. I need to do that. I got out Lego earlier in the week, last week, to wash. But I've also got little sundry bits. So I think this week I'm just going to do sundry bits. Once I know what's going on with my employment situation, I can start actually making decisions about relisting. I want to relist. I want to go through, I mean, you saw the state of the dress boxes. The dresses need going through, because those listings are 3 months old. Most of them went live in August. Some of them are on auction. I need to go through that, but I need to know what's going on, because if I've got a new job, I can't do a 1-day dispatch. So I know that I can like select everything and I can change my listings. But I've got a caveat at the bottom of all my listings. So let's just slide into one of these. So on my listing, I find that these days on eBay, you have to press so many times to get everything. So on my listing, when you go on to description, so I've got all my description like that, which that's the bit that I change. But then I've got all of these bits at the bottom. And I need to change, I operate a 1-day working dispatch to 2 or 3. And I need to change that on all of my damn listings. I think it's possible that I've done it on some of the newer ones. This was a newer one. Oh, this is so annoying. You can click on the photos now and it just shows you the photos, which is helpful. Yeah, so there it says I operate a 1-day dispatch once payment is received. So although it's easy for me to select everything and change it all to 2 or 3-day dispatch, I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to put 2 or 3. It's probably going to be 3, so that I don't have to stress about posting things. Most of things will probably be posted in a day if I have a different working week, but I do need to change that, and that's on all of my damn listings. So yeah, I don't want to start going into stuff and relisting stuff and not changing it if I then need to change it. So yeah, I also probably need to take some leisure time. I've stressed about that from like last week onwards. I stressed most of last week about my interview. I spent last Thursday prepping for that interview. And then I did my accounts. I did my accounts on like Friday morning. I haven't done any listing. I don't think I listed anything last week. And I'm inclined not to like list anything because we're going away and I'm going to put it on holiday mode. Yeah, I'm not going to do anything until I know where my life is going to take me. So yeah, stay posted and I will keep you posted. Right, I'm going to get my post on and get this video onto YouTube. And I do apologise for anybody who watched my last one, who watched the first edit where I had trouble with my computer anyway, because I went to, I think because I downloaded loads of reports off eBay to do my taxes, the disk was full anyway and it was complaining and it didn't upload my first video, and then it said that all the videos were corrupted. So then I re-uploaded the clips, and then I uploaded the clip of the previous video. So my first edit was completely wrong. So I ended up editing that video 3 times. So I apologise if you watched the first one and ended up watching a video twice. I did wonder why it was an hour and 20 minutes long, but there you are. Okay, right, thank you for watching and I'll be back again.